When you really believe in your product or service, it sells itself. When you know who your target customer is, they will find you. And so you can have an army out there that's working on your behalf without you even having to pay them. Like, I can tell you right now, I've been in the functional medicine space for a really long time. I'm referring multiple people a week to functional medicine practitioners because I believe in it so much, because it's made a huge difference in my life. And those are the types of people that you need in your business. You need those authority figures.
Welcome to the Ecommerce Marketing Podcast, the highly rated digital marketing podcast that provides weekly digital marketing tips and strategies from some of the world's top digital marketers and e-commerce entrepreneurs that will help you take your digital marketing to the next level. Sit back and enjoy this power-packed episode hosted by Arlen Robinson, who is an e-commerce entrepreneur and digital marketing expert with over 20 years of experience. Hey, e-commerce marketing podcast listener. Are you looking to increase traffic and sales to your website? You can do this by launching your own affiliate program. Just visit getosi.com and sign up for a free trial today. That's getosi.com. Now get ready to hear from your e-commerce marketing expert of the week as they drill down to give you details on marketing strategies that can help grow your business.
Welcome back to the E-Commerce Marketing Podcast, everyone. My name is Arlen, and I am your host. And today we have a very special guest, Kelly Resendez, who is a business expert, is a visionary leader, and she actually acts as the executive vice president at a multi-billion-dollar fintech company, GoLeap. Kelly has also helped drive innovation, supporting and expanding pathways to prosperity. Additionally, she's the founder of the women's network GoBundance Women, and Kelly is passionate about empowering women entrepreneurs to live with an abundance mindset. Through her membership organization and best-selling book, Big Voices, Kelly shares strategic advice and an inspiring message of limitless potential. Welcome to the podcast, Kelly.
Hi there. I'm super excited to be here with you today.
Yes, and I am super excited to talk to you. And today we're really going to be talking about something that I'm always curious about, because I've been in the online space for quite some time. But as most people that are in the online space, e-commerce businesses, they do know that events in the online space can be a great way to promote their business, whether it's a product business, whether it's a service business. But we're going to be diving into that topic, and you're going to be enlightening us because you've had a fair amount of success doing that, promoting some online events. We were just talking about that before we got started. But I'm really, before we dive into that, I'm really impressed with everything that you've done, your career from leading at GoLeap to founding GoBundance. What really inspired you to focus on empowering women entrepreneurs and building the abundance mindset?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it came from figuring out how to be inspired myself. And I think when most of us go down that journey, that we feel called to make a difference. And I love helping all entrepreneurs. My platform and in my life and the movement that I want to create is around, world positivity and people feeling abundant and just right. And I think both men and women struggle with that. There's a lot of not enoughness going on. There's a lot of too muchness going on. And for most of us, it's
sure.
like, how do we just be authentic? Because that's where sales and that's where products move the most, is when we're coming from that place of radical authenticity. And it takes time to get there. We're all programmed from an early age. We don't, some of us get to awaken to that fact and some of us don't in this lifetime. But once we do, we start to recognize that there are a lot of layers that we use to protect ourselves or to, I guess you could say, limit our own potential. And so I love helping people just shatter those limitations and transform their life so that they can create whatever business and life they really desire.
All right. Awesome. Yeah, that's truly awesome, because you're really, looking at really helping people kind of fulfill what they've meant to
Yeah.
do, what they're meant to do. And I think you talked a little bit about being authentic and being your authentic self and trying to be the authentic self. A lot of times people struggle with that. But I think what's interesting that I've seen over the past, I guess you could say, decade or so, when it comes to businesses and even e-commerce businesses, people these days, when they're looking at a brand, maybe they've discovered a new brand online, I think authenticity is really has a lot more weight these days, because I know for myself, when I discover a new brand, the first thing that I want to know is a little bit about the founder,
Yep.
why they started the brand, how they, what, a little bit about their journey. What is that story? What are they passionate about? Why did they create these products? How did they create them? And just, who are they, rather than, all right, it's just a blanket e-commerce site selling these products. There's no face behind it.
Yeah.
And, if I'm like most people, I think there's a lot of people that are kind of have that same mindset. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think it's really important that people are so used to being sold today,
Yeah.
that sold on an idea that a good or service is going to solve a problem for them. That
Hmm.
they are, they aren't as trustworthy as they used to be. Now, there's a segment of the population that I think that might be taken advantage of a little bit too much still in the
Yeah.
commerce world. However,
Yeah.
I think for most of us today, what we know is that we want to see real reviews. And for myself,
Mhm.
I want to know that the product or service is good for the people and the planet. And I think as
Mm.
business owners, when we get to the point where we start to filter our ideas through that instead of just profit first, that you're going to see your companies just amplify. When you make decisions for the better good and you really are solving a problem. I mean, we all have been burned by buying something that we thought was going to be beneficial to us that really
Mm.
wasn't. And so we need to restore trust. And the way that we're going to do that is that we're going to create products and services that we've tested and proven are benefiting certain people. And we
Mm.
share that. And we know with the Amazon world that we're in today, like people care about the reviews. They care about how
Yeah.
many people are buying. And I think to your point, knowing the why behind something is really powerful. It
Yeah.
really is powerful. Like, why are you doing what you're doing? And here at Goodleap, we're the largest solar financing company and we do home improvement financing. That's
Hmm.
what we sell. But what we're really after is creating a more sustainable world, right? We want
Right.
to reduce CO2 emissions so that people can live and be healthy. And that's really our greater why. And that pulls through in the product that we offer because it is a vehicle in which we
Hmm.
get there. And so I think for any business owner that's really listening today, if you're starting with profit, and that's what you're really looking at, like you will not create the level of success or abundance that you are destined to if you start with purpose. And you
Yeah.
really think about, my purpose is aligned with, I'm not going to damage the planet with my product and I'm not going to
Right.
damage the people.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's so true. When you come from a genuine place and have positive intentions, that I think goes a lot
Yeah.
farther than you may think, or a lot of
Yeah.
people think. So
Absolutely.
that's
And there's a way to market your product without overselling.
yeah,
Like
for
that's
sure.
the part where we know everyone wants instant results. There's no
Hmm.
doubt about it. We've watched over the last 20 years. I mean, look at the amount of money that's been pumped into the diet industry and the
Yeah,
fitness
for sure.
industry and the personal
For
growth
sure.
industry. Like
Hmm.
people want instant results. Be real. There are no such thing as instant results. Like people
Hmm.
have to have discipline. They have to have desire and they need to put themselves in the right environment to be able to thrive. And so
For
I
sure.
think when we align our product with education, and that's where events have really come in for me, when we align those things with education, then they're going to have a much greater likelihood of success on our
Yeah.
product or service.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Now, speaking of online events, of course, which is our topic for today, it, I think the challenge that I see is there's there's so many now. I'm I just speaking from myself. There's a lot of webinars. I'm constantly getting
Yeah.
emails from either uh, you know groups or companies that I'm either affiliated with, and even of course many that I'm not affiliated with. And they want me to come to this webinar. Obviously, a lot of times in the promo of these things, um, it's not specifically shown that they're selling, but ultimately that's their bottom line. They're trying to win an audience over. They're trying to educate, but at the same time, they're trying to win an audience over and attract these new customers. So in this whole world of all of these different online events, you have these webinars, promotional, informational. How does a brand effectively attract that right customer and then retain them
Yeah.
after they've attended the event?
Yeah. So what I would say is that number one, you have to be really clear on who your avatar is. And
Okay.
so many businesses, I don't think, have really identified their center, their bullseye. They're too
Sure.
general. And that's the thing. Like you said, there's so many online events. Well, there are so
Yeah.
many people too. There are 7 billion people in the world. So,
Yeah.
like, 7 billion people are not going to online events. So
Mhm.
I
For
would
sure.
say, you don't need to fill 1,000 people at an online event for it to be something that's powerful for what it is that you're doing. But if you want
Mhm.
to use events, I really look at who are the most ideal people that are going to get value out of it. And I don't
Mhm.
start with the end in mind. I don't start with, here's what I think my conversion is. So,
Okay.
one of the things that I try to do in my own life, part of my abundance, frequency that I stay in is I donate 10% of my time and 10% of my money.
Okay.
And when I do that, I'm not looking at measured results. I'm looking at how can I make a big impact. Now, when
Mhm.
I do that, I can tell you that I normally get more in return
Okay.
than when I go into something for that reason. So, I do try to offer things that are going to reach people that might not be able to join my community. Go
Mhm.
Abundance Women is a paid mastermind community for high
Right.
net worth women or
Mhm.
high income earners that really want to scale and grow without sacrifice. Now,
Okay.
I want to reach the masses. So I'm going to have things that I offer that are going to have people on there that might not be my ideal client, but I also know that I'm going to make an impact and I'm going to reach somebody that wouldn't have heard my message otherwise. So
I
the
see.
first thing you really want to look at, like, what is the actual results that I'm trying to get from this online event? And is this just a straight business decision or is it something that I love to do? Like, I
Mhm.
started doing events because it was a passion. I
Mhm.
started speaking 25 years ago. It was a passion. It allowed me to continue doing my job while I did that. I was a loan officer. I was in the
Okay.
mortgage industry. I was in the top 1%. So I was a very high achieving loan officer. I
Mhm.
loved speaking. I couldn't make the same amount of money speaking as I did running my mortgage business, right? So
Mhm.
I was able to use that to be able to kind of, number one, it generated authority and influence for me, which for anyone out there that has an e-commerce business, if you aren't growing your influence and your authority, it will be more difficult for your product or service to stand on its own. So you can
Mhm.
use these events as well just to be able to do that. Or you decide, no, I'm going to use it to actually generate customers. Well, I have to add so much value to those customers that they are going to want to engage with my product or service at the end. And I have a strong offering that I'm going to be able to give to them in order to be able to move it forward. So you want to know that vision for your ideal client going into an event, and then also really be honest with yourself. Like,
Mhm.
what is the reason why I'm going to have events? Because I have in-person events and I have online events, and
Okay.
they're a mixture, right? So I have a
Mhm.
meditation that I do on a monthly basis that really is just my gift. It's a
Okay.
gift, but it gets people to know me, to know my brands, and it just gives me some authority in that space that I help people remove abundance blocks. I help
I see.
people elevate their potential and release the things that might be holding them back. But
Okay.
then I also have very targeted events, which I call Power Up Your Life, that I just choose different things that are going to benefit people. For an example, I have a call at the end of April on building influence. And anybody
Mm-hmm.
that's in e-commerce should be spending time building their own influence. Like when you think of a brand like Spanx, you also think of the CEO. When you
Mm-hmm.
think of some of these bigger brands, you also know the CEO. Ali Webb had Drybar. Like she actually built an authority for herself as well, not just standing behind the business. And I think you need to have both to get to the next level today. So when you know why you're using an event, then you can
Mm-hmm.
really be able to decide who's going to be in the audience. Am I going to open it up to anybody? How am I going to get people there? And
Mm-hmm.
honestly, the way that I've gotten people to events is referrals. We are
Okay.
really good at asking our existing network to bring people with them. And we're
Mm-hmm.
having them post on social media and
I see.
using their network in order to be able to get people there versus going the ad route.
Hey, before we jump into the next question, I want to take a quick second to talk about something that's been a game changer for so many business owners, including myself. That's public speaking. If you're running an e-commerce brand, marketing agency, or any business, your ability to communicate clearly and confidently can really make all the difference. Whether you're pitching to investors, speaking at conferences, or even just creating content that connects with your audience. That's exactly why I created speaktoempower.com, a coaching program designed to help you master public speaking without fear. You can start with my free 10-day course where I walk through essential strategies to overcome nervousness, engage in the audience, and speak with confidence. And if you want to go even deeper, I offer weekly virtual group coaching sessions and one-on-one coaching tailored to your needs. So if you've ever felt like you could be more confident on camera, on stage, or even in day-to-day business conversations, head over to speaktoempower.com and get started for free today. All right, now back to the episode. Gotcha. Yeah, that's interesting. Of course, that's really cost effective, and you're leveraging their networks, of course, rather than doing a lot of paid advertising and other things like that. They're gonna get the your marketing expenses up and the
Yeah.
advertising dollars up. So yeah, I like that. What I'm curious about, because it sounds like you've done a mix of these types of events, the onlines, the offlines. Some are to just get people aware of what you
Yeah.
do, and become an authority. And I think I hadn't heard it put that way, because I think a lot of times brands are so eager to try to get that in sale, and they go out, they'll do these events, they'll do the webinars, but if there's no measurable boost in their sales, or
Yeah.
nobody's converting from the offer that they have in there, they think it's a failure. How important do you think it is to establish that goal first? And do you, let's say if you're doing your first event, do you want to look at that as more of just getting it out, getting yourself out there, exposing yourself, rather than
Yeah.
quantifying it?
Well, you're not going to nail it on your first event. Now, every once in
Okay.
a while you hear of somebody nailing it on their first event, but
Yeah.
being somebody that's been a speaker for 25 years, I've had a lot of hours on stages and a lot of hours behind a microphone or whatnot. And so
Hmm.
like whether I'm prepped or not, I can go on and be able to engage with my audience and that kind of thing. So what I
Okay.
would tell you is that it's important to release some of the expectation. I think that's where I find the most value that I can add to an entrepreneur, is
Hmm.
that in really sharing with them, this is an inside out job. When you really believe in your product or service, it sells itself. When you know who your target customer is, they will find you. And so you can have an army out there that's working on your behalf without you even having to pay them. Like, I can tell you right now, I've been in the functional medicine space for a really long time. I'm referring multiple people a week to functional medicine practitioners because I believe in it so much, because it's made a huge difference in my life. And those are the types of people that you need in your business. You need those authority figures. You need those people that they're going to sell your product for you. And if you're doing it at scale, that you are getting the testimonials, you've got your follow-up recipes and rituals that are designed for you. But when you look at this first event, going in with like, I'm just going to be a value add. I'm going to add value. I'm going to add value, and I'm going to add value until I can't add any more value. And then I'm going to make sure that they know what I need help with. And so that's part of my equation that is worked really well in my life, is that I know when to share my purpose. I know when to ask for help. I know how to position what it is that I'm offering, knowing what problems people have. So like when I know what my, I know my mastermind, what problem it solves. A lot of women experience massive loneliness. And we know this, like when you hear the phrase, like it's lonely at the top, or, it's just like there's a lot of that out there. I know what problem my mastermind solves. And so I'm able to position value around that so that they can see how my mastermind might be a great fit for them. It's the same thing if I were in product marketing. I want to know what problems I'm solving, and I'm definitely going to be integrating that into whatever event that I'm having over and over again without being as overt about what it is that I'm selling. And now I'm going to pitch at the end for sure. I'm going to tell them, like, I would love for you. Like, I'm not, but I'm not here because of that. Like, I'm here because I want to educate and add value as much as I can.
Yeah, for sure. Since you've done a lot of these different events over a span of time, online and offline, I'm sure you've kind of seen it all when it comes to putting these things together, facilitating them, the registration, all of that. What would you say are some common mistakes that either you've made or you've seen brands make when promoting these online events, and how can they avoid them?
Yeah, not making it super simple for somebody to register. And then assuming that, I see a lot of people go into right out of the gates disappointment because they have 300 registered people and 120 are there, right? You just need to know it's a numbers game, and all you're doing is getting clarity and data so that you can continuously refine what it is that your event offering is doing. So number one, you want to make sure I love and like it. That's an important piece of it. So you can try it. If you love and like it, continue with it. If it's outside of something that you really love and like, now that doesn't mean it could be outside of your comfort zone and you feel exhilarated when you're done and it's an amazing experience because you pushed yourself. That's awesome too. But like some people just don't love it. And so you want to make sure that you love it, and then be really thoughtful about what your game plan is to draw people in. Leverage experts that are going to help you. When you look at LinkedIn, you need a photo instead of a video. When you're on Instagram, your video might perform better. Like, how are you going to really make sure that people see it? And then how are you going to engage your email list as well on being able to share it? I'm big on networking and really just sharing with different communities, to be able to get more people there. And that's what I try to do, is I try to partner with people that have a network that are going to be able to help me get more people to my event and be able to sell it out.
Yeah, so, I totally agree with that. Some of the events that I've done, I've seen the ones that have done the best, that have had the most attendees, where I've gotten the most responses, is partners that I've worked with. I've done a lot of joint webinars in the past where it's just not me. I do talks a lot all the time on affiliate marketing, influencer marketing, and I've done some solo webinars. But I saw that the ones where I've partnered with some other companies that are in the, I guess you could say, e-commerce marketing space, just a different aspect of it.
Yeah.
They promote to their list, they bring their audience, I bring my audience, and then
Yeah.
it really works out because
Yeah.
you're really, you're getting more bang for your buck, and
For
you're
sure.
leveraging their networks,
Yep.
which is a lot greater
And
than
don't be
yours.
afraid to pivot. The one thing that I would always say is that what's working today may not
Yeah.
work tomorrow. You know, the VSL or the video sales letter used to work really good in funnel marketing. It's not because people are expecting it. It's not working as well as it used to. So
Yeah.
there's always that you've got to be ready to pivot at any given time. And you've got to make sure that you know, like I've got to continuously get better at this. And the way that I look at this is an opportunity to build your own confidence, like speaking and being able to articulate, because you might not be in a position where you want to raise capital, or you're having, conversations with private equity firms or lenders or things to be able to get your business to the next level. The more influence that you learn how to create, the better you do. And so like when I look at being a speaker for as long as I have, it's not that I just speak and that's why I get better. It's that I'm studying mastery in this. I want to know how important language is. I want to know like what works when I'm speaking. Like, well, this time I made an overt ask and the last time I didn't. What are the differences in my data? What are they going to show me? Like when I do it with somebody else, is it as effective as I do it on my own? Like what does my audience really want? And that's where you can take any e-commerce business. Like for example, just give me one e-commerce business that you've supported in the last little bit.
Let's see, a good example, we'll just say a product space that I'm always curious about just because I'm looking at it, these wireless headphones, the earbuds. It's a very competitive space.
Yeah.
And that's one space that I'm always interested in.
Absolutely. And when you look at that, when you think about like how would they be able to launch an event that would even be beneficial to them, right?
Yep.
Well, it's a communication mechanism. And I can tell you, if there's one area that any leader should be focused on, it's communication mastery. And how does it really benefit you? And then what can it do to be able to improve your business? Like years ago, if I was in an airport, right, I would not be able to have a conversation with somebody as if I was in my office. And today, because of technology, now I wouldn't even be able to tell, right? I wouldn't even be able to tell where I am. And so there's definitely ways to be able to integrate value around something that your product is really going to offer, and then be able to differentiate your product throughout that conversation. But chances are someone's not going to go to a webinar where you're selling earbuds, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like they're just not. However, if I'm a leader and you're going to talk to me about communication mastery, and it's something that can help me get better in my business, and you're integrating like a lot of these things, like my business partner had to record our podcast from an airport last week. She was not expecting it to happen. You know, we had 3 guests that were lined up in one day. It would have been atrocious to reschedule it. And you know what solved her issue? Was that she had technology that basically silenced all of the rest of the noise around her, you know? And so there are a lot of things that you can do, but it would be maybe aligning with a communication expert like myself or someone else that can add value to them while you're integrating other things into it. Because I mean, there's so many different ways that you can do it. You know, I know, just thinking of one brand right now, my friend Allison owns a company called Juicy Curls, right? And Juicy Curls is a product, a shampoo and conditioner product for people with curly hair. And so she's added value by having educational workshops that teach people with curly hair how to really take care of it. Now, I know, Arlen, you don't need to be on that one. So
I don't think so.
It's not your product. It is not your product. So, but it's one of those things that she's leveraged the power of education on an event space in order to be able to then offer her product in other places. So I think anybody listening, it might not be for you, and there might be somebody, but you also want to look at, is there anyone else on my team that wants to
Hmm.
be a spokesperson, that wants to
Yeah.
do this, that we can use these to really educate and build our brand.
Yeah, that's very true. Looking at your team and seeing, okay, what are some of the core things that they're, I guess, kind of fluent on, or that they can add value that that's still within the, um, I guess you could say, kind of core area of what you
Yeah.
do. Doesn't necessarily have to be direct. Like you said,
Yeah.
communications is a great one. Like you said, not
Yeah.
too many people would attend a webinar from a wireless headphone company, but there's
Yeah.
a lot of things in there that
For
you
sure.
could definitely uncover if you dug into it.
For sure.
Um,
I
as
will
we were,
say, I just
Mhm.
want to add, when I spoke for as long as I did, being a top producer in the lending
Yeah.
industry, I never talked
Hmm.
about loans, ever
Wow.
talked about loans. I help my
Okay.
customers or my clients, real estate agents and business owners, grow their business. That's how I
Okay.
grew my business. And
Wow.
so, like, a lot of times we think we have to use this. We can also take a demographic that is that avatar for our customer and think of other value adds that we could bring to them.
Hmm. That's true. That's true. Yeah, that's interesting. I hadn't thought about it. You have to kind of look around what you're doing. A lot of times it's not a direct sale, but it's something that if you're adding value, then you're coming off as an authority. People are going to trust you, and then the sales will definitely come.
Absolutely.
Well, Kelly, as we get ready to wrap things up, you already kind of alluded to this a little bit on the example that you gave with your colleague that was doing the webinar, doing the podcast from the airport, and how technology allows you to do that these days. Speaking of technology, how do you see the future of these types of events evolving? In the e-commerce space, especially with all of these advancements with AI and
Yeah.
these virtual
Yeah.
experiences now that are just kind of out of this world. Where do you see it going?
Absolutely. Well, it's ironic because I just got off a meeting with a partner of mine, Twin Protocol, that creates digital twins. And we were
Okay.
having
Wow.
a very similar conversation. I think from an engagement standpoint,
Mm,
I think where we can leverage technology is to leave more space for human connection. There are very few
yeah.
CEOs or business executives that don't feel strapped with their time. And
Mhm.
so, if we can leverage some of this technology to be able to do some of the things to clear space so that we don't operate that way, I think it will be masterful. So, I do
Right.
believe we'll get to the point where my twin's talking to your twin about
Mhm.
scheduling us to be at this place. And then maybe even after a conversation like this, I'm sure your audience has questions for me. So, they might
Yeah.
go to my digital twin and be able to access information that they're going to be able to tap into my digital brain, which is all my books, all my transcripts from everything that I've ever said on a blog or a YouTube or a podcast or
Mhm.
whatnot, and be able to engage with me. And I think
Wow.
from an e-commerce standpoint, you need to be ready to be able to meet your customers on your website in a new way. Like,
Yeah.
you're going to need to be able to have 24 access. And this is not the chat bots of yesterday. This
Right.
is very language based models that
Gotcha.
you need to be prepared for. And so that's definitely something I'm happy to talk to your audience about, how we're using them at Twin
Mhm.
Protocol, be able to get to this next level of customer engagement. So a perfect
Yeah.
example is Deepak Chopra.
Mhm.
So if you go to digitaldeepak.ai, you'll
Uh-huh.
see that basically he's got a platform where you can talk to him and you
Okay.
can engage with him and
Wow.
actually have his sales brain or his education brain out there engaging with you. And
Mm.
so it's one of those things that I think the future is that I hope that people know that there are many roles that are going to be eliminated and that
Yeah.
we've got to invest in ourselves and be really thoughtful. Like, is my role going to be eliminated? Like, is
Mhm.
it, I don't think there's ever going to be a world in which I'm not showing up on a podcast or I'm not engaging on stage or any of these other things. But
Right.
if I'm sitting behind a desk doing data entry, I am
Mhm.
going to be working on myself. Like, that
Yeah.
is definitely something that you need to be prepared for because there will be disruption.
Yeah.
especially in the digital agent world. So you want to have cutting edge solutions, because your customers are going to want to reach you and schedule you and be able to engage with you 24/7 about the things that they really want to know about your product or service.
Yeah. Yeah, that's some powerful stuff. The digital twin, and it's things have just gone so quick and advanced so quick, and I can definitely see where things are going. You talked about, regardless of where things are going, you still don't. I mean, obviously, nothing can beat the human
Yeah.
connection, the one-on-one connection, no matter how realistic they do get this technology, the digital twins. It's at the end of the day, it's just ones and zeros on the other end that you're communicating with. So it's going
Yeah.
to be a different experience. It can be close, and I think
Yeah.
you just have to look at
It's
it
never
as
going to be the same.
it
Like,
won't.
I'm an empath. I'm never going to feel your twin. Your twin's
Yeah,
never going to feel me. There's not going to be emotion involved in it.
yeah,
However, we know customers have a much lower tolerance for, or just much lower patience, right? They want answers right away. I
yeah.
remember back in the day where it's like, it'd take me 10 minutes to call somebody back, and I'd call them
Mhm,
and they're like, I no longer need you. I got a hold of somebody else. And it's like, 10 minutes? Really? Like, that's how
mhm.
long it took you to call somebody else? Well, in the web world, it's
Yeah,
even faster than that. So if I'm on
exactly.
your website, for your earbuds or whatever it is, and I want to know, like, what's difference between you and this and that,
Mhm.
like, what can I expect? Like, what's the average life? Like, do you actually have data that supports it? Like, what are some of these things? If I lose it, is there an insurance plan? I have a 20-year-old, so I can't tell you the number of AirPods that we have used in our life,
Right.
right?
I can
And
imagine.
so it's one of those things that I think that we do need to prepare, that people want answers right away, and they want to
Mhm.
schedule things right away. They want to be able to talk to someone that has information that they have at their fingertips.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Getting that information as fast as possible.
Yeah.
The demand for that is not going to go away. People are going to just want it when they want it. And
Yeah.
yeah, it just looks like we're now going to be able to facilitate that in a way that
Yeah.
we've never been able to.
And
So
this is how I look at
it's
a
powerful.
digital twin. It's my
Yeah,
online brain.
yeah.
If I don't tell it what it believes,
Hmm.
the AI open world will. So like,
Yeah.
I can go to Chat GPT or somewhere and it can come up with some answers on my
Hmm.
behalf that are
Sure.
really not what I would say, because I have so
Gotcha.
much content out there. I
Got
want
it.
to be the one to tell my brain what it needs to know and learn, so that
Yeah.
it can engage with my customers and with the people on my behalf at some point. So
Yeah.
I think there's a lot, I just look at it as being, I hope that it leaves us more space to be on purpose. Because I
Yes.
know the people that are behind a desk doing, the same job over and over aren't feeling as fulfilled as if they were
Hmm.
living their life on purpose. And
Yeah.
so I hope and believe that this will give us more space and opportunity for human connection, and for us to align with our greater good.
Yeah, yeah, very well said, and I totally agree as
Yeah.
well. Well, Kelly, it's been awesome time talking to you. We see that this area, online events, offline events, is wide open, and it's not. It's really just going to be complementary to,
Yes.
or almost another channel for businesses to
Yeah,
be able
that's how I look at it
to
too.
to reach and connect. And I
Yep.
think it's really really powerful. But lastly, before we do let you go, I always like to close things out with closing fun fact, if you don't mind sharing
Yeah.
any fun fact about yourself that you think we'd be interested to know.
Holy moly, a fun fact I would say is that I am obsessed with pickleball.
Okay.
And I think everyone is. It's like the hot thing right
Me
now, but I
me
haven't had a
me
chance
me
to
and you
play it
both.
because of
Okay.
the weather for a little while. So I'm super excited to get back out there this
Gotcha.
evening or this weekend. And it's hard to believe that this tiny little ball has created so much community. Like, that's
Yes,
the one thing, is pickleball is a super social sport.
it
So
is.
for anybody looking to connect, I think it's a great thing. But I also want to make sure leave your audience with something that they can kind of take away as well. And I think that for most business owners, we self-sabotage a lot. So I do have a 3-part series that they can go check out at downloadthepod.com. And it will give them basically just some actionable steps that they can work through when it comes to the top ways that owners are self-sabotaging their own success. And of course, you can always find us at GoBundance Women or find me on Instagram at Kelly Resendez. But just, it's been an absolute blessing being here with you today.
Likewise. And thank you for sharing that. And thank you for that quick note about the pickleball. I was obsessed with it for a long time. I kind of took a little bit of break because the group that I was with, they kind of got switched to another area. Yeah. So I'm trying to get back into it. But it's incredible, like you said, how that small little ball has just exploded. Yeah. And, once you start playing it, you really can see how addictive it can be. And then more than that, it really is such a social sport. You meet a lot of people, and really, I like it because anyone can do it, no matter what age you are. It's something that doesn't require a huge amount of skill. Of course, there's some guys that are pros at it, of course, but to just play it, yes, you don't have to be a pro athlete to do it.
Definitely.
So yes, for sure. All right, Kelly. Well, it's been awesome. Those links that you mentioned for the downloads will be included in our show notes, so people can check out that free download. They can also check you out on your LinkedIn. We'll be sure to have all those links available for people as well. And it's been a pleasure talking to you. We really appreciate you coming on the E-commerce Marketing Podcast.
And thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for listening to the E-commerce Marketing Podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and share it with everyone you know. Are you looking to take your digital marketing to the next level but are tired of weeding through countless YouTube videos with unproven and untrusted marketing strategies? Well, we have the answer for you. The More Sales Every Month online digital marketing course. In this information-packed course, you will learn effective keyword research, link building, content marketing, and much more to attract and convert your site visitors into paying customers. Just go to moresaleseverymonth.com and sign up today for a low one-time fee. In addition to this power-packed course, if you would like to get access to a growing repository of digital marketing articles, PDFs, and ebooks, check out getosi.com/resources and opt in to get full access to our library of priceless marketing information to help you take your digital marketing to the next level.